Hello and welcome to The Direct Approach with Wayne Moorhead, an exclusive podcast by DSN filled with candid and insightful conversations with leading corporate executives about today's evolving direct sales channel. In this episode, Wayne is joined by Ashley Collins, Executive Vice President of Marketing at USANA, with more than 20 years of experience working in PR, marketing, communications, and advertising. In her role at USANA, she provides executive oversight of product marketing, product portfolio management, digital marketing, and social media, with the goal of building the brand's value proposition and creating exceptional digital experiences for independent distributors and customers. Ashley and Wayne discuss how to best navigate the changing landscape of marketing and direct selling, effective use of digital marketing to maintain a brand presence and attract lookalike audiences, testing and experimenting with new strategies, and making data-driven decisions. Also, how to craft messaging to refine your value proposition, affiliate programs, and so much more. But before we begin, DSN is honored to be supported by industry suppliers that partner with companies across the channel to help enhance, streamline, and grow your businesses. This episode is sponsored by Thatcher Technology Group. Are you ready for what's next? With Thatcher Technology Group, adapt faster, scale smarter, and grow more sustainably with Ascend, a headless, microservice-based direct selling solution empowering your business with unparalleled flexibility and scalability. Ascend to what's next by visiting thatchertech.com to learn more. That's ThatcherTech.com. Without further ado, please help me welcome your host, Wayne Moorhead, and Executive Vice President of USANA, Ashley Collins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I am your host, Wayne Moorhead, and today's guest that I am very excited to visit with has more than 20 years of experience in PR, in marketing, in communications and advertising. Currently, she provides executive oversight for product marketing, management of the product portfolio, digital marketing, and social media at one of the channel's large and few public companies. She's an award-winning executive and continues to be recognized for her leadership and many efforts inside and outside the company. I am excited to welcome USANA's Executive Vice President of Marketing, Ashley Collins. Ashley, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. I'm excited to be here and have a chat.
Absolutely. There is so much happening in the channel right now that impacts marketing, especially sales, especially. So I'm excited to dig in and get some great insights. And before we go too far down the road, I'd love to know a little bit about the path that led you into direct selling and ultimately to USANA.
Well, I've been at USANA. It's 23 years. So I've kind of grown up in the industry and at the company. I kind of stumbled on it by accident. My background was in, communications, writing. So I actually started my career as a marketing writer for the company. And I didn't really know anything about direct sales, back when I started, but I've been here the whole time. So obviously I'm a believer in the channel and love the company. So not really your typical entry into it. I don't have a lot of experience with other companies. My full experience has been growing up in USANA.
Well, if you're going to be at one company, you've certainly picked one of the great ones to be at. USANA has been an incredible example. So many great people. As you know, over the years there, I won't even go through all of them, but from Kevin, all the way, incredible people, incredible leaders. And as one of the few public companies, have really done things right. And I think been a great example to the rest of us. And so I'm excited to dig in and get some of these insights because it is changing so much right now, the channel. We've talked about it every year. Recently, I was chatting with Heather Chastain about all the changes. And she's like, Wayne, it's always changing. I'm like, you're absolutely right. It is always changing, but it seems like it's definitely accelerating. And from technology to the competition for our attention, today to even these really interesting generational dynamics that we're seeing with these new leaders and distributors that are coming into direct selling and into the channel. So I'm excited to get your perspective, especially in that marketing area. And as you know better than everyone, marketing at its foundation is really about creating awareness and demand for an offering. So at its core, it's about understanding what we are truly selling. If you don't understand that, you can't really market it. You can't communicate. You can't connect it to a consumer base. You don't even know who to sell it. So I'm curious, with all your experience there and insight, how can you and we ultimately gain clarity and align our activities to support that, so we know how to get that awareness and kind of cut through that clutter to reach and have an emotional connection with a consumer or distributor?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's changed, and the speed of change is something we've never seen before. The world is every year it's different from the previous year. But for me, I think truly the heart of what we do, I mean, it is the oldest form of business. I mean, honestly, it's word of mouth marketing in essence. That's how the world, evolve sells anyway, and that's who we are at the core. So I think it's us remembering who we are. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in, oh my gosh, look at the technology, we're competing, we got to cut through all of this, but our channel, we can't forget who our channel is, and who our number one customer is that Salesforce. They're the ones truly having the relationship with that end consumer and ultimately on those front lines. So I think we have to have the presence, we have to have the tools, we have to meet people where they are. And that's really hard today because it's everywhere. There's new things evolving, popping up every moment. There's social, everything is in an online environment, but it's ultimately listening to that Salesforce who we're truly serving and meeting their needs where it is to be successful. I think it's so easy for companies, especially being around in this, like, now we need to go get consumers. That's not our job. That's what we pay our people to do. They're the ones doing that. And the more we stray from that, I think we kind of lose the heart of why we're here and the intent behind it. So I think it's us looking, how do we evolve to support them even more? What do they need? How do we stay competitive through that, while also maintaining that presence to make it easier for them?
There's a lot in what you just said. And I want to circle back on a couple of the really important things you talked about. The first, again, is highlighting that our number one audience, our number one consumer is really that Salesforce, that it's in service of them, and it's all for them. Without them, this channel kind of falls apart, without the people sharing products with other people. And I love that you mentioned that we need to evolve to support them, because they are changing. They're one of the big factors that are changing. It's not just technology, it's not just some corporate dynamics, but they themselves kind of needs, wants, and desires are changing. Another important thing that you mentioned there was meeting people where they're at. And I think that's been a big mental shift for a lot of us, where we expected people to do things our way. This is how you buy. This is how you enroll. This is how you share. Follow these 6 steps and this very linear path to get in. And it's just not like that anymore. The customer journey, the distributor journey is a weaving path now, not this linear process that it was of the past. And so I agree. There's so much we need to do to continue to meet them where they're at and communicate and be on those platforms and touch points where they're at. But you also mentioned the technology part. So obviously that has driven so many of the key changes, even behaviorally, for us in corporate and outside. Can you talk a little bit about how that's kind of changed the tactics or strategies of marketing and how you connect and communicate with those consumers and distributors?
Yeah, I mean, technology, it's scary too. At USANA, for us, we're 30 years old, and our sales force is older. It really is a lot of the baby boomers, those that can afford what we do, those, who started, way back when, and it's totally different. I think people's intent for why they join the business or what they want to gain from it, those intentions have totally changed. And in technology, one example I like to look at, I think majority of us, we have these back offices where it's your hub for your business, and you go back in and there's reports and you have to log in and you look for this and you do this. And I'm challenging us here to look, is that what the future really wants? Do they want to log into a back thing that's homegrown and you've created, where now everything is so interchangeable through the social platforms, the e-commerce, how they're all buying, and how do we tap into those to meet people where they already are, instead of trying to get people to go to something else, because it's really hard to compete that way. So it's trying to get information in front of people where they are. What are the widgets you can be using, simple dashboards, and how do you plug into existing technologies, I think is key to remaining relevant.
I absolutely agree with that. And I love that. The easier we can make it for them by just interacting and being where they already are, it's going to be a smoother process. And with this increase in technology, and not just from what we do at corporate side, but in our daily lives, it's just pervasive. It's how we communicate, it's how we transact, it's how we interact. Has there been a need for you to bring in employees with new talents, to go out and try to recruit people with maybe more of that digital marketing expertise and better understanding of the technology? It hasn't always been our strong suit in the channel. So I'm curious, did a lot of the employees kind of evolve along with it, or is this something you have to go after now?
For us, we're fortunate. We believe in that personal development. So technology, it's even hiring talent that's more up to date with what is out there. But there are so many trainings you have to pour into the people doing that work, so they're always up to speed on what's new. I mean, even the programs we use to create assets and designs, and with some of the AI and Canva and these things, it actually is a blessing. I know a lot of people in this space feel threatened somewhat. Like, is this going to take over the need for me? Is it all just going to be done digitally? And I don't believe in that. I think it's the people have to feed these engines what it is. You still need the eye and then how you position it. But I think investing in those positions to get the right skill sets they need to keep evolving, going out, understanding the different perspectives. But there still also is benefit of those within our industry, because it is a unique base. And I have noticed challenges when you hire expertise from big e-commerce platforms coming in, wanting to do certain things that they can't, or they're hitting their head against a wall almost, because they're like, but wait, this is how you do that. And I'm like, we're not retail. We are not a retail channel. So those things, though it's good to understand that and know it, let's take what works within our channel to be able to do it and have it set up. So, I mean, there's challenges in that, but I think there's ways to work around it and marry the two together, if that makes sense.
It does. And you mentioned that really important dynamic. A lot of times when someone comes in cold, especially into marketing, so I'm raising my hand saying I'm guilty. I've brought in people from the cold, and if they don't understand all the dynamics, they don't know what levers to necessarily pull, and it takes a little bit to get somebody up to speed, maybe even 9 to 12 months, at least I've seen, for them to really be able to wrap their head around how to market within the channel. And so I think developing that group from within is a really efficient and powerful approach. I'm curious, is it kind of like a push or a pull? Do you find your team really wanting to stay up and coming to you saying, hey, I want to go to this conference, or I need this training or this certification, or is it kind of a formal training?
No, they are, I think people that love it and what they do, they constantly want to be learning more. They geek out over these things. And so them going to certain conferences and gaining different certifications, it's investing in our number one asset, our employees, first and foremost, who are serving the field, who also ultimately is the top asset. So I think they want it, and having people that want it and are willing to learn rather than just rest on, well, I know this and this is what it is. Because in this space, if you don't constantly want to learn, stay up on research and evolve, you should be in a different field, because it's going to keep coming faster and faster.
Yeah, that is a really interesting performance indicator. I really hadn't thought about officially, but just someone's desire to want to continue to develop and learn and evolve, I think says a lot about their place maybe in the organization.
Yeah.
So another really interesting thing with technology and social right now, especially in direct selling, is public relations. And this has been one of my favorite debates. And I know, especially as a public company, you have public relations and investor relations, and it is a huge part of what you do. But I'm wondering how you look at it in the role that it plays in today's marketing and in today's direct selling company. And I'll kind of caveat it with, in the past, it was something that almost every company almost seemed to avoid. Like, let's not sit down with the media. They're not going to understand. But you kind of don't have that luxury being a public company. So maybe put your direct selling and public company hat on. And what role does it play in today's marketing mix?
Oh, there are so many opportunities, and I fight this fight everywhere I go. It's a unique perspective. I think for us in our industry, we've been on the defense for so long, and I don't like that. It's not fun. You want to come from an offensive place, a place of strength. And, a lot of companies, you look, well, we don't want to open ourselves up. Then we don't want them to then look at us. And I'm like, okay, so what are avenues out there that we should be pushing and doing? Let's change the narrative. And I think companies alone, that's a hard battle to face. But I think as an industry, I look at within our industry, all these companies, everyone has a charitable arm. We are doing so many good things that we're involved in. So why don't we band arms, come together and do something collectively about the good, the lives that have been changed through those contributions and efforts? What bad can come from that? And I also do believe in the defensive approach. I believe every company does need crisis management. You need to be prepared for anything that comes your way. And for so long, I think we've avoided it. But now more and more companies are being faced with having to. And it's always better to at least have a base plan and be prepared to come from that spot. But the media, everyone's skeptical of media. I come from journalistic background also. You're looking for the story, and what do people read? What do they click on? They want the scandals. They want the this and that. And we're out there. We're even part of mainstream pop culture. If you look at it, you look at documentaries that have surfaced about companies. You even watch certain movies and there's jokes within there. So how can we shift that narrative and be positive? I think we should be bold. We do great things. And if we're, legitimate, there are bad players, things that do things wrong. They need to be called out and stopped. But there are so many of us that are doing things right and impacting lives. So I think that there is opportunity to come together and be a little more strategic about that and come from a same place. So it's coming from an industry giving us that rather than each company on their own kind of battling it. I think there could be power in that. And I do think the future, you look at it, where's it going to go? What does this all look like? How do people shop? And our products are known as the best. I don't know about others, but I buy products from other companies. We have amazing products. We have things that work and are great. So what if as an industry, there is a shopping mall of these companies and services offered in the future that's bigger and take over some of the other conventional means? There's so many great strengths that we should be coming together more, I believe. But that's a hard thing to get. You need people who are like-minded and believe in that want to. Yeah.
For sure. But I think to your point, if we put some collective energy and effort, it does benefit all of us in the channel. Anyone kind of associated, what's usually good for one is good for all, and the opposite is true. And I love that you talked about being kind of playing offense and defense, getting out there with all the positive, but also being ready just in case. It does make a huge difference, regardless of what channel you're in. If you're ready for a crisis, it goes so much smoother.
It does. And it's also, who are we competing against? We're not competing against each other. Let's be honest about it. So let's use that and be a force for for how people consume and with what they're looking for, and also the opportunity. We're up against, the gig economy also, and we are an offering within that, rather than it just be this major, it's this or that. Why can't we be all of it?
Can you kind of drill a little deeper on that? I'd love to dig in there on how you look at that competitive landscape. Again, I know you mentioned that our competitive set really doesn't include other direct selling companies directly, but how can we stay kind of true to that direct selling business model while still growing? How are you thinking and approaching that right now?
I go back to basic fundamentals of what is direct selling. What is this? And through the history of time, it is what we are. It is that word of mouth marketing. How do people buy? I mean, how many things have you recommended to a friend that you've liked and they've bought? Or how many things have you looked into because your friend has this? This is cool. That ultimately is the heart. That's how all people consume. That's who we are. So if we go back to those basics of truly what it is with recommendations and solutions and really focusing on what it is we're selling, we have solutions for people. And they can just be consumers, or they can also sell, make a little bit of money, or they can actually build a huge business off it. That is insurmountable opportunities that check all the boxes. So breaking down your business by those different channels, who fits within that, and really hitting those targets where you want, I think is a way to tackle all of it.
Yeah. You lead a large global marketing organization with markets and business all around the world at every moment of the day. I'm curious how your organization has changed or shifted over time, kind of with some of these changes. Have you added new things? And then kind of second to that, I'd love to get your thoughts on centralized versus decentralized, and kind of where do you give markets the reins versus what do you try to maintain a little more oversight and control over? I know that's a huge question, but I'll just tee that up.
It's a big one. And I mean, I think I've wavered back and forth there. I think there is a key need. We're in, 24 markets. We're big. And they're different. They're culturally different. They're in different spaces within growth, with even how they build, what they look at, even their product mix is somewhat different. So I do believe markets need some autonomy. We view us with global marketing. We're a brand. We have certain brand, templates. We have, our guidebook, giving the guardrails and then letting them be free to adapt within those guardrails, I think is the way to do it. So I think you need both in a way, but depending on the year or where things go, it kind of changes the latitude that you give. And well, let's break this a little bit to see. And also looking, where can we do a test that is completely different and not impact everyone else? So you kind of have to look at who's impacted to who, being global. And we have a comp plan that kind of works within all the markets. There are things that tie together, but there also are nuances, and we have to be able to give some of that freedom to try things, to be able to grow and see where it can change. And, we're going through some different thinking and structure as far as our product development and how we manage our life cycle of products within the brands. So we've kind of set up these cross-functional teams of all disciplines within the company to physically be together and work on the line. It's speeding up efficiencies, communication, it's a cross team of marketing, R&D, operations, finance. It's everyone together with those disciplines to react quicker and make decisions quicker. So we're just in the throes of all of that right now, which is completely different for how we've worked in the past.
That's interesting. Again, there's a lot in what you just said. I hope, I know I'm going to go back and listen to that. I hope those listening do as well. But just a couple of the highlights are shifting to maybe empowering the markets a little more than we used to. I think in the same way that we're empowering distributors more and giving them more flexibility and kind of giving them the reins more. I know that was a big shift for me. I, early in career as a CMO, tried to keep all the markets in line. And this is exactly how we do things, and not fully understanding all the nuance and all the subtleties, and the need for them to be able to adapt. As you mentioned, there's so much there.
2024 marks DSN's 20th anniversary, and we invite you to celebrate monumental milestones with us at the biggest and best events yet. Get ready for a year of global expansion featuring more events, more value, and more content than ever before. We invite you and your team to mark your calendars to secure your spot to be in the room, at the table, and in the conversations. Our spring events, taking place April 2nd through April 4th, will be extraordinary. This includes the annual Global Celebration and Awards event with live music with the Free Radicals Band this year, the invitation-only CEO Forum, and 2 full days of DSU, all taking place at the Irving Convention Center in Irving, Texas, located just 15 minutes from DFW Airport and Love Field. Register now for the spring events at dsnevents.com. DSU remains free for all active corporate direct selling executives, and tickets for the in-person Global Celebration and Awards event can also be purchased at dsnevents.com. A reminder that DSN supporter companies have access to a set number of tickets as part of your benefits to the Global Celebration and Awards. If you have any questions about your benefits, please visit directsellingnews.com or contact our team at events@directsellingnews.com. Now let's get back to the interview.
One of the many things that I've admired over USANA is how you've managed the product portfolio and the strategy that you've put around it. You've been able to add products and continually inject energy, into the organization and give them new things to talk about, without letting that portfolio get so unwieldy and so large that no one can navigate through. Can you talk a little bit about how you approach portfolio management and maybe even the rationalization process? Do you have some best practices when it reaches a certain amount, we'll retire some SKUs?
Absolutely. I think for USANA, we have never wavered from who we are and what we create. So that first and foremost is key. I think it can be hard with all this change and everything. The last thing we look at is we don't want to create a Me Too product. Just because something is hot right now and it's doing well, it's so easy to want to chase that. And we could do that. But for us, it's, wait a minute, who are we? We're cellular health. Is it going to serve that? Do we have the science? What's the differentiation that is the reason why we're doing this, and does it work? And we've said no to a lot of products because they don't meet that criteria. You miss out on great opportunities. But I think it's truly being true to you as the company. So what is it? Your product vision. That shouldn't change. But the strategy changes, but your full vision of who you are and what you do, if you start changing that, I think you probably need to take a step back and really think about it, because that's where you can get lost. We manage our brand lines from the life cycle. That's why I do believe in testing in certain markets before, and I don't believe you push certain things in markets. If the market says, this product is not right for me, why would you make me take it? They're still accountable for that P&L, that organization. Why would we do that? And if a market comes and says, this is something we absolutely need, why wouldn't we try that? But I try to gear them all, instead of saying a product, tell me what is the problem we're trying to solve. And then we come, and with the scientists, we figure out a solution. And then if it meets all that criteria, that's how you go. And if there are products that aren't performing, that is one of the hardest things. You launch something and there are certain people that get attached. It's really hard to take things away from people, but you still have to make those hard decisions. And then for us, we look at that strategy. Okay, if we're going to get rid of this, where do we push them? What do they have? What is a give you can give at that time? And it doesn't need to be another product, but is it a new way to build a business or a different tool to help them, so it's not a complete takeaway? So there's a lot that goes into that mix as you think about these decisions. And at the end of the day, launching a product, discontinuing a product, you're impacting lives one way or another. That Salesforce again. So it's keeping them first and foremost with the decisions you make and looking at all that impact as you go. And then having that plan, the transition plan to manage it is really key.
Wow, so much in that. I think we could honestly spend about 3 hours in that topic and all the incredible things that you just mentioned that are important to managing the portfolio and to having the guardrails and the stage gate process. But especially what you mentioned about understanding who you are. We oftentimes, just generally companies, regardless of channel, I think we abandon that in the pursuit of growth far too frequently, when if we just dig deeper and kind of continue to build on that platform, that's where success lies. And again, USANA and you and your team have been incredible in that and have had some of the best strategy and discipline around portfolio management in the entire channel. You
think about it, it's hard. You want to change. And I think you get caught up in what's going on in the time that we're so quick to be like, we got to change this or do that. And then you do something and then, oh, wait, that didn't work. Let's change this. So I think if you're going to do something too, you need to have some KPIs in place that you're measuring instead of that initial boost. Like I think people look, you launch a product. We've been guilty of this. We launch, we high five because you have these great sales that start and then sales shift. Then they go down because you have the boost, people try it, did it not stick? Why? You have to have plans in place to keep things going and be disciplined enough to not change too quickly until you know and get the data to make the right switch. And so often I think we're so caught up in, we got to do this right now because we're feeling that pressure of where we are. And so we do have to weather some of those storms, give it some time, collect good data to make a better decision instead of just an impulse feeling that we should shift without truly knowing what's happening.
For sure. And you touched on another interesting dynamic around product launches that we don't always consider. I know I've lost sight of it in the past, but even when you introduce an incredible product that reinforces who you are and builds the story, there's disruption and confusion in the field at any point. It still takes time for them to incorporate it into their duplication model and to understand the product and how this changes them. And so, yeah, there's a lot of thought post-launch that needs to go in to make it successful.
Yeah, you need your roadmaps, you need a plan, and you need a plan for each one, where it fits and when you're going to plug this in and how you're going to do it. And for us, USANA being, highly scientific, those are our roots. Mm-hmm. Some of our products are not, we're hard products to sell. Supplements are hard in and of itself because you don't feel an immediate benefit. You take a tablet and is it doing what it's supposed to do? And there's science behind it that sometimes our sales force, they think they need to know every single thing about it and it takes time to learn it and they don't. So our job within marketing is to make that so much easier that they don't have to be a scientist themselves to be able to convey. It truly does go back to benefits, solutions. What is it we have at the base core and simplifying all of that.
Love that. Thank you for that perspective. You mentioned kind of the relative recent push to connect with customers and be involved in the customer acquisition process and help to manage that kind of customer life cycle. And I know that you also have mentioned that at times our focus on customers has come at the expense of maybe a little bit less focus, or we've maybe taken our eye off the ball with our distributors and our sales force. Can you share a little bit your thoughts on how you're approaching this and how you're striking the balance between servicing both of these audiences?
Yeah, I think for us, you look at it and when sales are down and, our sales force bringing consumers in is flattening a little bit, you think, okay, so they're not doing it. What can we do to do that? And for us, it's going to the mindset, how do we support them to do that? And I do think a brand presence is important. so that it makes their cold market warmer. There's somewhat of an awareness to the company. I also, when you look at digital marketing and where we target, instead of, cold blast advertising to gain consumers, it's really getting smart with that strategy of who are the lookalike audiences, who's come, how do we get an ad back in front of them, your abandoned cart where they leave, keeping the company front of mind through those means, rather than going out and competing and trying to get the customers against the associates. So where in that digital mix and space of getting consumers, how are you supporting their efforts and really backing up the company now, getting in front of them again to make it a warmer choice for people to choose the company and work with that distributor?
That's great. And even you talking about lookalike audiences, I started geeking out. I know that you guys are deep into the digital marketing and how to reach people that have similar values and behaviors and characteristics. So it's not completely cold, as you mentioned. So kudos to going down that digital path that you guys have. I know that's another area you're helping lead the way.
Yeah. And you don't want to spend a lot of money. It's expensive.
Sure. Absolutely.
Going out. And so you want to make sure you're getting a return. So if you're going out there and you just think, I'm going to spend all this money and do it, and they're going to come, you're kidding yourselves. That's not how it works. So you need things in place. Testing, a lot of testing, I believe, is critical for companies. Do A/B testing, test this, that, to see what works. Involving the sales force in some of that so they know and see it, I think creates that trust and wins. So, it's tricky to navigate. And I think all of us, with change so fast and the state, are we growing? Are we not? It's hard times what you're competing against. So you got to just be strong and stick with some of those decisions to weather the storm, because if you keep just changing it and doing this, you're never going to know what it is that's working.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting, in just a minute, I kind of want to get into more of your approach to customer data, because I know that that's been a big driver for you. But you're absolutely right. In the digital world, we now do have the ability to test. We don't have to place as large a bets as we used to with these, huge awareness campaigns. For very little money, you can get a decent sense of what type of marketing and messaging is working and resonating with consumers, and then scale it up once you figure it out, because it is getting more and more expensive. On the digital format, for sure. Which also gets to with kind of back to, I think, what we're selling around the value proposition for the opportunity. How has this changed? Has it changed? How are you messaging and marketing the quote unquote opportunity? And everyone understands what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very tricky one, particularly with, the FTC and what's been happening with companies and what you can say and can't say, and truly, being transparent and honest with what the opportunity is. So we are very conservative when it comes to the opportunity. It's challenging. I believe if you're just out there marketing an opportunity, you're failing, because if that's all we're selling is just an opportunity and a way to make money, that doesn't sit right with me. And I don't think that sits right with the masses anymore based on what's happening. So it has to be that perfect marriage between truly products and opportunity, and people first and foremost believing in what they're selling. If you have a sales force that does not consume the products, believe in the company and what it is, are they the right people to have? Because that's where you get into trouble. And I think how can you truly be successful if you don't believe in what it is you're really selling? If you're just trying to sell that I'm going to make more here versus here, that's the icky factor within the industry that I don't like, that a lot of people don't like, and that sets us up. So it's the marriage, the value proposition marriage of both. But we have been evolving, looking, I think, comp and needs. People want to be paid faster. They want to see results of what they're doing faster. So we've made some additions that way. We launched an affiliate program, a year ago to meet some of those needs and test that, which still is tied with our base compensation, but helps with some of that upfront, easier way to sell. And also, you look at the heart of a lot of these companies, there's party plans, which is different. There's the team building aspect, big business aspect. So again, it's kind of dissecting the different groups and different leaders you have within your company to kind of figure out what it is they need and give them the support they need to go out and promote that opportunity the best way possible. I think onboarding is key. You need some of that key onboarding of how people come in and what they need to know to be set up for success. But it's a constant challenge how you hit that proposition of what this opportunity is. And if you're going out and it's going to be, you're going to change your life immediately and have all these things, I think those days are completely gone. That's not who it is anymore and what people are looking for.
Yeah. So from a messaging standpoint, the kind of focusing on the highest income or commission levels, that's not resonating like it used to. Is that what I'm hearing?
Completely. I don't think, that just does not work. And it's not realistic. That's not. And the masses, the sweet spot, people truly who even participate in the gig, they're looking for $300 to $500 a month base. They don't want it to be a full-time career. They're just looking for additive. And for us to embrace those people and have a path for them is just more of a win rather than trying to compete and force that mindset into a different mindset. I don't think will work.
Interesting. No, I completely agree. Can we spend just one more minute on affiliate? So what exactly, as you kind of introduced this program, what encompassed this program? Was it a comp plan change? Was it kind of looking at it from a whole new distributor or affiliate journey? How extensive was affiliate? Because some people are just renaming their distributors as affiliate. And saying we have an affiliate program. So I'm just curious, kind of the extent and maybe the rough edges of what your affiliate program is.
Yeah. So ours, was a US Canada launch just in the markets that made sense to test. And it is a comp plan switch. So it's a tweak on the comp plan where you are able to pay more upfront and where it goes, but then still also ties to our full comp plan. And for us, our approach has been not us going out and trying to get affiliates, what people consider affiliates. It really is utilizing the distributors to build affiliates, to have another opportunity here. You can also set up this way to earn. It's that less pressure barrier to entry. You don't have to balance or do certain things. You can just be making income. So for us, it kind of is a slow roll as we test. We didn't want to just set this program and have this. We wanted to make a stepping stone to evolve the comp plan because it needs further evolution. And you have to make baby steps with the field hand in hand to keep trust and make that successful. So it's kind of a little bit of all of it. And I see it will continue to evolve to where it needs to go, but it's not a name change. It's not a separate thing in addition to it. It really, for us, it was, let's try and integrate this the best way possible and learn some things so that before we go in other markets or change even more, we're gathering some of that information to make better decisions.
Thank you for the additional information on that. And again, this gets back to maybe something we just talked about, but looking at this as a test and gathering information and insights. I know that has been a hallmark of your marketing style and your leadership style. Can you share a little bit about your approach to gathering data and turning that kind of information into insights?
Yeah, for us, data is everything. I think we want to make data-driven decisions. That's who we want to be as a business. And so, we've made a stronger commitment over the couple of years to have the customer feedback loops, to have it tied with our technology, to pinpoint certain problems, really looking into our reporting where we see trends, what's working, what's not. And you can get into a space of paralysis sometimes when you have so much data. So the key is really finding that balance of, okay, this is what we want to dig into and find. Here's what we're testing, making clear what it is we're testing instead of trying to have it snowball into be more. And then, well, let's add this on it and that, because the more you try and combine in it as you're going, the more diluted it becomes. So it's still an evolution for us as a company, but it is a strong prong of our strategy of everything that we do. We want to be sure that we're capturing data, that there's no emotional tied to it, that we're strictly looking at what it's showing and then putting that, personal touch on it. Okay, what does this really mean? That's where it gets hard in interpreting the data and getting that alignment through that. But it's very important to us as a company. I think more and more companies do want that and are seeking it because it's strange behaviors going on out there. How else do you know unless you start looking, you're surveying, you're gathering input? That it's so essential to everything that we do.
Yeah, and we actually, I feel like as marketers have the ability, we've always understood the importance of consumer and distributor insights and information, and maybe got them a lot from kind of qualitative sources. And now we actually have kind of at our fingertips some real great transactional and behavioral data that can impact what we do and how we message. And finally, there's some technology and platforms that really allow us, I think, to put that into action really quickly now, finally. So we've talked about some of these changes and some of the ways that marketing has changed. I'd love just in the kind of our last few minutes together to chat about what are some of the things that we have to be doing. I mean, we've talked a lot of the marketing functions and activities, but maybe as a channel, what are some of the things we need to be doing? What are some of the things that we need to stop doing to ensure that we are relevant here going forward over the next several years?
I think, a key thing is really evaluating what does need to stop. And again, looking at your data to help determine that. I think you get in this pattern of, well, we've always done it like this. Okay, well, the world isn't working how we've always done it. So what is it showing us? Where are we seeing, some of those fallbacks or those issues? And then let's come up with a solution. We've always, provided all this upfront and everything. Do we need to do it that way? I think it's a simplification approach because there is so much and our brains can only handle so much. So I try and look at, oh my gosh, I can't even keep everything straight that's going on. How is that person on that front line? How do they even know what to do or which thing to pay attention to? We've got this promotion or this happening or that. So it truly is putting yourself in the shoes of that associate. What are we pushing out to them and how are they using it? Are they paralyzed? Do they even know? And it's really simplifying and streamlining things. We don't need everything all at once, even though it feels like we do, because you feel like you have to have everything and meet everyone and do all of that. So I think simplification is key, looking at the data, and just remembering marketing in and of itself has not changed. Marketing truly is just, do you like this? Why do you like it? What's the value for me? And really just hitting back to those roots of what it means.
I love that. I know that you're also super optimistic and excited about the future of the channel. You're able to recognize, yes, we have to evolve, but here is our future. And you've talked about how kind of person to person and word of mouth marketing will continue to be kind of the future of commerce. Can you share your thoughts on this and why you're so optimistic for the future?
I am, because even person to person, that is also social media. It's those touch points. We talk a lot of training and people think, oh, I'm just going to blast a post out and it's going to hit everybody. You still have to cultivate relationships. It's all about trust, who you believe in, and listening. We talk a lot about, instead of forcing what you want people to do, it's what are people saying and what do they need, and becoming a true solution in the space. So I just think if we can really simplify it all instead of constantly trying to make it so complex and harder, we'll be better served.
I love that. I had a marketing mentor one time always talked about edit to amplify. you've got to simplify things essentially to really be able to shine a spotlight on a few things and make a difference. And what you're saying reminded me of that. And it's something that has really stuck with me as a marketer. And I'm curious, as you've led, again, one of the few public, a very large marketing organization, what are some of the most important things to understand? And this question is probably going to be to a very select few that are in marketing organizations or in vice president roles or CMO roles. But what are some of the most important things to understand and consider when leading a marketing organization in today's direct selling?
I think patience is absolutely key, because marketers, we're all unique creatures. We're creative, we're analytical, like we're just very different. We're kind of all around. And I think if you believe in leading people, giving them the tools, resources, letting them research is key, making sure that everyone within the space is up to speed on what is out there. And then figuring out how to tie that in to our business is so critical. I just think when you're leading people and you have marketers, people that just want to say, well, I know it all, it's just this, is a total disservice, because marketing touches everything. We're one of those unique functions that work with every single other discipline within the company. It's problem solving, it's operational, it's customer satisfaction, it's everything. So kind of remembering that and truly gaining perspective on all those and how you can be more effective is really important. I try and teach my team, you do need to learn all these things. You do need to know the ins and outs of the comp plan. You do need to put yourself in these shoes. You do need to understand all aspects of the business to be more successful and truly come with those solutions to things that come up and be able to help us adapt.
Thank you for that. So finally, just kind of plain straight up leadership. What do you feel has been one of the most important leadership lessons you've learned in your career?
Oh man, so many. I think for me, leadership it's tied directly to influence. It's the heart of our business too. Like true leadership is relationships. The more you know and understand people, the more trusted you are, the more you can see aside and have a bigger vision and picture of what's happening. So I believe in empathy. I believe in listening. I believe in not solving everyone's problems, truly challenging people to kind of find those solutions on their own, but being a sounding board. And truly relationships are the heart of everything. It's how you treat people, how you work with people, is the key to everything in leadership and success in life and being happier in general, if you think about it.
For sure. That is the perfect idea and concept to end on. Ashley, thank you so much for your time today. You've always been so generous with that time, with your insights, with sharing, with helping all of us get better, not just those on the inside of the USANA walls, but really being an incredible champion for the entire channel. So thank you. Give our best to everybody there at USANA, and we look forward to continuing to watch your success and learning from you.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I love the podcast and everything you guys do. We can all learn from each other. So let's not compete. Let's join arms and kind of help each other. That's how we become greater.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Please take a minute to give a 5-star rating and review to help Direct Approach continue to provide more candid interviews and insights for corporate executives. And please register you and your team now for the Spring 20th Anniversary Celebration events taking place April 2nd through April 4th in Irving, Texas. You can register at dsnevents.com. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.